this video, I'm going to show you how I make my editable images for my Oreos. First, I'm starting in Canva, and I'm starting with a circle frame. I'm sizing it down to the size of 1.9 for this order. Each Oreo mold varies slightly, so if you have a customer that's ordering them, you might want to ask them their size. This one is a circle shape. This will be for the images that don't drop in as backgrounds for the circle frame. Again, sized it down to 1.9. I'm adding a small border to the outside edge of it just so I have a marker of where to put my image, and then changing the background to white. Then I'll duplicate it a couple of times and then come back over to Elements, search St. Patrick's Day backgrounds. I'm going to go into graphics, and you can see it pulls up several different options. This one's very cute. As you can see, it drops in as an image into the circle frame. The rainbow pot is cute, but it will not drop in as an image, but we can shape it to the size of the Oreo circle. So I'm just going to size it down, center it into that circle space the best I can, and that will work as an image. This coin one is really adorable, and it drops in perfectly as an image. Search for something else here, maybe this one, another image, perfect. So you'll find that some of the backgrounds work as images, some do not. Here I'm going to go in and find some other images that I found previously, like this circle smiley face, which again works perfectly over the white circle that we already created. Again, just sizing it appropriately. Looking at a couple of the other ones, like this wording, Luck of the Irish, just sizing it to fit that circle mold again. So you can see it's pretty simple to either use a background or even select wording or images from Canva to create your desired look, just sizing it appropriately to the circle outline. Now that I have all my images selected, I'm going to separate them into separate pages so I can download each picture as a PNG. That way then I can upload them individually into Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to select Download PNG, Transparent Background, Current Page. Each page is always labeled what the image is described as. That way then it's easy to find. Now I'm going to open up my Cricut Design Space down here on my computer. Takes a second to open. Obviously I'm on a new project. I'm going to upload image, browse, and select which file I would like. I will start with the very first one from the St. Patrick's Day images of shamrocks. Upload. It already has a transparent background. Always click Flat Graphic on the far right. Click Continue. Sometimes it just takes a second. And you can see our image is going to upload here into this design space. So next I'm going to go up to the top where it's sizing, and I'm going to size it back down to 1.9. Not sure why it imports at a different size, but I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this image to the desired amount that I need for this order. And I will continue to upload the additional designs into the design space here. Once I have all my images onto my mat, I'm going to come up here to the top right and click Make. This will send it to the mats and lay it out. I need to change my mat size to 8.5 by 11. That's what the Cricut Joy XL fits, and that's the icing sheet size. And you can see there's one extra image down here on page 3, and I'm going to show you how to move it. Click that top left button, click Move Object, select the page you want to move it to, 1 or 2. As you can see, it's going to put it in at the top, and I'm going to move it down here. As long as it's within the dotted line, it will print and cut out just fine. I'm not sure why Cricut leaves that extra space, but you can save it. Now that everything is arranged on the page, I'm going to make sure my Cricut Joy is connected to the Design Space app, and then I'm going to send my image to my printer and make sure I turn off color bleed and make sure the correct printer is selected, which is the Canon TR8600. I'm going to click Next, come over here, grab my icing sheet. I always use the rear tray of my printer when doing edible images, so you can see you can just feed it in here and make sure my printer is on, tap the screen. It'll just be a second before it receives the data from Design Space, and it will start to print. Depending on how much you have on each sheet will dictate how long it takes to print or how intricate the design is. This print job I'm going to speed up for you, but it took about 4 to 5 minutes to print in total. And you can see it's come out nice and clean, nice and vibrant colors. I always give this a second or two to dry before I actually pick it up and move it around, but I'm going to set it over here to dry for a minute. And now that it's dry, you can go ahead and line it up on your standard grip Cricut Design Space mat. I just line it up in the corners. Always make sure you press your edges down really nice and firm. That way then you don't have any chance of it getting caught in your machine. Once I have it stuck down, I'm going to go back over to my computer and tell it that it did print correctly. That's all that this little pop-up is asking. And I always pick 80-pound cardstock with standard pressure. Now it's telling you to go load your mat. The top of my Cricut is blinking. That means it's ready to receive the mat. And you can see you can just line it up and make sure it gets underneath those two little tabs on either side. And it's going to pull the mat in and out and make sure it's aligned correctly in the machine. So this just takes about 35, 40 seconds. And then you're going to go back to your computer screen and tell it to print once it stops moving. And you can see it tells you to say go, and you click go. And it's going to pull the mat in and out a couple of times, making sure that they can read the black registration marks on the corners. That's basically what tells Cricut that there is something there for it to cut. This print job is going to be sped up for you guys, but this took about 2 minutes for it to cut out all of these images. Once the machine is done cutting all the images out, it will push the mat out towards the end, and your screen will tell you to unload the mat. You click the button, and that's how the machine will release the mat. You can take your edible images off. When I use the medium pressure, it does not cut all the way through the clear acetate paper that the edible image comes on. I do that purposefully because I use the back paper to back the images with, but you can see we have a nice, crisp, clean, beautiful print for Oreos. I'm just going to speed up and take all these images off the sheet for you. And like I said, I use the clear acetate paper. I just cut them into 2x2 squares, and I can show you right here how I stack them on their individual sheets. I usually keep like images with like images and stack them all together. I use the Cookie Countess 2x1/4 inch by 2 3/4 inch bags. They're perfect for this size. They keep them nice and contained, keeps them hydrated. It's pretty airtight. I put them down in there. I do leave a small space towards the top not to crush the images when I fold the self-sealing bag over. You'll see here in a second when I fold it over. And this is how I store my edible images, or ship them in this case. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Give it a like if you did, or leave a comment if you have questions. Go to part 2 to see how I print edible images without Cricut Design Space.